Jason Gay is the Wall Street Journal sports columnist. The author of the 2015 bestseller Little Victories, Jason has written for additional publications, including Vogue, GQ, Rolling Stone, and Outside. In 2016, he was named Sports Columnist of the Year by Society of Professional Journalists and was a finalist for the Thurber Prize for American Humor. Additionally, Jason and I are related. He's married to my cousin. I can still vividly remember the embarrassing moment when I slipped on a rock when he was reading his vows at his wedding. Jason has traveled around the world, meeting many of my icons, including Conor McGregor, Dana White, Emma Stone, Tony Hawk, Henrik Lundqvist, Rafael Nadal, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Wayne Gretzky, Roger Federer, Jonah Hill, and yes, Tom Brady. Jason graduated from the University of Wisconsin and now lives in Brooklyn with his wife Bessie and his two kids, Jesse and Josie. Please help me in warmly welcoming Jason Gay.
Thank you very much, Hunter Lord. Thank you for dressing up, Hunter. You look like you're gonna go clean a boat. I want to see some of the throwbacks out here. I saw somebody up there with a Lonzo Ball UCLA jersey. Nice work. Is that a paper cup, Zubaz pants? Yeah. And I saw somebody with a Raptors jersey. Where's that one? Whose number is it?
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter. Yeah. I feel I saw a Tropics somewhere. Somebody got a Tropics jersey on? All right, good. All right, good work. If I had known, Hunter. Come on, Hunter. You could have hooked me up. Come on, Hunter. Look, when I got the word that I would be speaking at Taft, I had the same reaction that you all did. Why? Couldn't they find somebody, like better, more accomplished, wiser, richer, younger, better looking? Shouldn't speaking at schools like Taft be the domain of world leaders, titans of industry, or at least really, really awesome people? Whose idea was it to invite a sports writer from a newspaper? Nobody in this room knows what a newspaper is. Come on, let me get a show of hands. How many people walked down their driveway this morning and picked up a good old-fashioned newspaper? All right. It's like you've invited a rotary telephone to come speak to you at school, or a PlayStation 1. It's a terrible idea, Hunter. Somebody's gonna get fired. Probably you. Can you get fired from school? Just kicked out. Well, you've been kicked out of many schools. I want to be clear about something before we get going here, which is that I would very much appreciate if you listened to the entirety of my speech. I promise it's only 4 to 5 hours long. But if you need to fall asleep, go ahead. I'm not going to be offended. In fact, if you need to fall asleep right now. Many years ago, I was at a school like this one, in a room like this one, where my school was hosting a speaker who had come from many miles away and worked very hard on a speech, and I was asleep. So it's okay, sleep is good. Do you know that sleep is now considered the #1 performance-enhancing thing in sports? It's true. I'm not making this up. Professional teams, athletes everywhere are realizing the performance and recovery benefits from a good night's sleep, even a 20-minute nap. There are sleep books, sleep gurus. The Boston Red Sox, who just won the World Series, have a nap room inside Fenway Park. That's a true thing. They have a 4-bunk nap room. In fact, someone recently said that if sleep were a steroid, it would be the greatest steroid ever invented. But sleep is 100% legal, even in Connecticut. So sleep. Go ahead, sleep. I'm not going to be upset. You might get in trouble, but that's not on me. That's you. Now, it's true, I am a sports writer, which is an old English word for idiot who can't write about real stuff, so has to write about sports. Now I have a question. How many of you out there are New York Giants fans? I'm really sorry. How many of you out there are New York Jets fans? I'm even sorrier. You guys are even old enough to remember the butt fumble. Now, how many people out there are New England Patriots fans? Yeah, put your hands down, nobody cares. Sports! Why do we care so much about sports? Why does it take up such a huge part of our brain? This past weekend, I was in the city of Allen, Texas, to see the #1 public high school team in the country, public high school football team in the country. There were 15,000 people there on a Friday night playing in the high school's own $60 million stadium for high school football. It's insane. The next night, I was at LSU for LSU Alabama. 10,000 students inside the stadium chanting 3 hours before kickoff. And they lose 29-0. Why? Why do we care? Why do we care so much about these silly games? Why do we reserve such a huge part of our brains for sports trivia? Let me ask you this. How many people out there, if I put you on the spot, could tell me who Andrew Acosta is? He's the U.S. What? Does anyone know? He's the United States Secretary of Labor. Okay, he's one of the most influential policymakers in the entire country. Now, by a show of hands, how many people here can tell me who Odell Beckham Jr. is? Say, sports. It has such a huge part of our lives. Now, sports is not life or death. It's not existence changing. Sports is mostly meaningless, unless you're a Mets fan, and it's entirely meaningless. But why do we love it? I have one theory, which is, I think people love sports because it's really fun to care about something that doesn't really matter. That sounds paradoxical, which is a word I had to look up. But it's fun to scream and yell and be engaged and have the stakes be basically nothing. I mean, it's not nothing to the people on the field, it's important to them, but it should be nothing to you sitting in a chair, eating Doritos. Sports is stakes without consequences, is a line I once read, and I think that's a pretty apt description. I wish I knew who said it, but I'm just gonna steal it. Now, we could spend the rest of the time here talking about some of the hot topics in sports at the moment. The hot takes. You guys like the hot takes? You like Stephen A? Skip Bayless? You like people yelling at you for an hour? We could have an argument right now about who's the most dominant athlete in America right now. Is it Tom Brady? Serena Williams? KD? KD might not be the most dominant athlete of his own team. Come on. Is it Mookie Betts? Is it Taft Squash? It's not Taft Squash? I would probably say it's Simone Biles, the American gymnast, and it's not even close. 4 consecutive world championships, Olympic gold, followed closely by Katie Ledecky. You guys know Katie Ledecky? Multi-decorated Olympic swimmer. Katie Ledecky holds the world record in every event she does. Literally everything she does in sports, no one has ever done it better than Katie Ledecky. That is dominance. If we wanted to pick another topic, we could talk about an idea that's gaining steam of paying athletes in high-revenue college sports like men's football and men's college basketball. What do you think about that? Do you think that's overdue for a system where billions of dollars are made every year? Or is it unfair? What does that mean for the lower revenue sports? What does it mean for the badminton team, for the water polo team, for the squash team? Are we leaving women athletes completely out of the conversation? We're really going to do that. We could talk about fairness and pay in sports. Why is it that the United States men's soccer team makes more money than the United States women's soccer team. That is crazy. The American women win the World Cup. The men didn't even get to go this year. It has nothing to do with ratings and popularity either. The most watched soccer game in this country ever, men or women, was the women's final against Japan in 2015. The second most watched soccer game in the history of this country was the 1999 Women's World Cup final versus China, when you were all 0 years old. I was 72. We could ask, why does Colin Kaepernick not have a job in the NFL? Can anyone give a good reason for that? The Buffalo Bills started a cardboard box at quarterback last weekend. We could talk about ESPN or whether or not it's correct when their boss stresses that sports and politics remain separate. Whether that's humanly possible in an era where the president goes after athletes on Twitter and everything is inherently political. We could talk about the many ways that sports is going to change in the coming generation, especially the sports viewing experience. When your children are your age, they're going to laugh that we watch sports on a flat screen. They'll be watching games, and this is real, they'll be watching games through augmented reality. The action, three-dimensional in front of them, this big, that big, adjustable by themselves. They'll be able to reach out and virtually touch all the action. This technology is not pie in the sky, it's being developed now. And Tom Brady will be 193 and still play. We could also ask, frankly, why does Hotchkiss suck so much? I'm not afraid of cheap applause, baby. But I want to pivot here for a second and talk about something completely different. I want to leave you with a little bit of wisdom, or at least a suggestion if it's not wise. Don't ever spend a lot of money to go see the Knicks. No, that's not it. I want to leave you with something that has a little bit more utility than that. I want to ask you to apply one of sports' greatest lessons to your everyday life, and that is being in the moment. What do I mean by being in the moment? I mean being present, being alert, knowing what's in front of you, back of you, and in your periphery. If you're an athlete, you know what I mean by this. I mean having a vivid, physical, mental interaction with something that doesn't involve technology or a computer or those horrible, horrible, really special, wonderful, terrible phones we all have. I mean real life. Because that's what the athletes I talk to really love about sports. Yeah, the money's good, fame is great, trophies are cool, but they love it and they remember it because they are in the moment. They love it because they are present. They are fully themselves. They are alive. Maybe they're alive because they're 1 point away from winning the US Open or the NCAA championship. Maybe they're alive because somebody wants to tackle them or punch them or kick them. Or if they're in the UFC, tackle them, punch them, and kick them. These are indelible moments when we feel most like ourselves. There is no technological substitute. It's why these memories stay with us. It's why LeBron James, and maybe you've seen him do this, can hours later remember the exact sequence of points in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Or how Serena Williams can remember months later the exact kind of stroke with the exact kind of spin she took to win the Australian Open while 2 months pregnant. Do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Try to have more of those moments. You're only here once. You've heard that cliche. Maybe you're having the time of your life here. Maybe you're having something less than the time of your life. Maybe you've been asleep for the last 10 minutes. It's okay. You're going to want to remember this. And the only way you're going to remember it is to be in the moment, to be present, alert, and alive. Because an amazing thing will happen. You will feel You'll feel things, the highs, lows, wins and losses, the very, very, very important mistakes and very, very important stumbles that we all have, and you'll feel everything in between. You'll feel the fullest expression of what it means to be human, and you're going to remember it all. And that, I think, is what we truly love about sports. Thank you.